Folks, if you're married, then you already know. Just one spouse can be more than a handful, but that isn't enough for some people. Polygamy is the subject of the long-running series Sister Wives, which began airing on TLC in 2010. In the ensuing years, the show has followed Kody Brown and his misadventures with an unstable set of 4 wives and way too many kids. As the years passed, many things changed for the Brown family. Some wives stuck around, and others found they had to make their own way in the world outside of the polygamous life they had grown used to. And that's not even including the vast population of kids, grandchildren, and assorted people in the Browns' orbit. From the 4 original wives, Meri, Janelle, Christine, and the latecomer Robyn, you probably want to know what has happened to the cast of Sister Wives. And you'll find out more about the mysterious Catfish. Well, come on and take some vows, as today we're looking at these open-minded folks. The shocking things they didn't show on TV. And most importantly, where are they now? You won't want to miss this, so sit back, relax, and make sure to pull up enough chairs for all your wives. And get ready for a very special episode of Sister Wives Then and Now. Before we dive in, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and that way you will be the first to know
what happened.
Meri. Fans of Sister Wives know Meri as the OG wife. Before Sister Wives, before the criminal investigations, even before MySpace. Meri was the first woman Kody chose to spend his life with, although we know she would not be the last. The trendsetter married Kody in 1990, 3 years before he would tie the knot with anybody else. And the pair had its ups and downs like any longtime couple. But where is the couple today? As it happens, they're in a very different situation than when Sister Wives was on the air. And you may not believe the sordid details or the dark place their relationship has gone to. Trouble first began brewing in the couple's relationship in season 9 of the show, when Kody asked Meri for a difficult favor. He was in the process of beginning his life with wife number 4, Robyn. The other wives were okay with the whole situation, all things considered, but there was a catch. In their state, polygamy wasn't technically, legal. So that meant Meri would have to consent to a divorce. She sucked it up and accepted the arrangement. Unfortunately, things began heading downhill for the couple. She began to feel distant from her now ex-husband and found that he no longer had time for her like he used to. And that's where the real trouble started. Meri was contacted online by a man that seemed to be a fan of the show. At first, he just wanted to chat about her experiences, and Meri, who was very lonely, was happy to do so. But then things began escalating. It turned out the stranger on the internet wasn't quite so innocent in his intentions. Shocking! The guy was an admirer of Meri, and their relationship progressed rapidly. Meri tried to keep it a secret, but secrets aren't very feasible when you live in a polygamous commune kind of setup. Of course, Kody found out about her secret beau, and on the show no less. But all that is nothing compared to what would happen next. Catfish! It turned out Meri's mystery man wasn't a man at all. He was a woman catfishing Meri. Kody and the family were outraged. First, Meri had deceived her ex-husband, as well as betraying the sisterhood of wives. You might think it would be hypocritical for a man with 4 wives to be so strict about extramarital relations, especially one that was exclusively online. But no, Kody was firm that she had violated his trust. The two's relationship was rocky for years. So where are they today? Did they find a way to reconcile and get past the incident? As it turns out, no. The divorce that was once just a formality is now true, both legally and spiritually. Kody said he doesn't feel safe with Meri, and that he could never forgive her for her mistakes. Meri, for her part, is still holding out hope for the relationship, and is doing the best to cope. Today she runs a bed and breakfast, and is very involved in several multi-level marketing communities, as well as continuing to raise her children. Janelle. Kody spiritually married Janelle, although not legally, in 1993, making her his second wife and launching him on the decades-long trip of polygamy. But it's been almost 30 years since that fateful day, which raises the question, Where are Kody and Janelle now? And the answer is surprisingly complicated. You see, Janelle claims that her and Kody are still something of a couple, although her husband is only technically married to his fourth wife, Robyn. Janelle claims that there is no trouble in paradise. Unfortunately, I don't think things are that simple. It turns out that Janelle is no longer living with Kody, but her current digs may surprise you. For some time, Janelle has been living out of an RV on the family's vacant land. And there are some more disturbing details. In all of Janelle's recent pictures with her kids and grandkids, Kody Brown is present in none. It appears that the once involved patriarch has abandoned an entire wing of his family just to devote more time to his favorite, youngest wife, Robyn. We'll get to her in a sec. But as of now, it doesn't seem like we'll get clear answers about Janelle and Kody's relationship. And call me crazy, but I wouldn't bet on a happy ending for this couple. Christine. As Kody's third wife, Christine was a relative newcomer to the sisterhood, but she still spent decades in the Brown clan and actually came from a polygamous family herself. But lots of things change over decades of marriage, and even more so when you're involved with somebody like Kody. In the last few years, Christine had begun to distance herself from the raucous Brown clan. She wanted her own space and felt that Kody and the group were influencing how she was raising her own kids. In November of 2021, Christine made a shocking declaration. She and Kody were officially getting divorced. And not just as a technicality. According to Christine, Kody couldn't handle the idea that his wife wanted to distance herself from him. And the second he realized he was losing total control over her, he withdrew emotionally completely. Kody doesn't add much details, but does say the marriage is officially donezo. I guess that's the perk of multiple wives. If one flies the coop, you still have a few spares. Alright, so what is Christine up to today? Well, she moved back to Utah where she is closer to her grandkids. For what it's worth, her son claims that she's happier now than she was with Kody. And you know what? I certainly believe that. Robyn. You know the expression, saving the best for last. Well, Kody Brown would probably agree with that, as Kody's fourth wife, Robyn, became his only official wife after he divorced Meri to marry her. Confusing, yes, I agree. Robyn was always the source of drama on the show. She was much younger than the other wives, and they often felt he devoted more time and attention to her and the 3 kids she brought to the arrangement. But while the two's relationship is relatively short, they've still been together for quite a while, and a lot has changed. As it turns out, Robyn is the only wife Kody is still actually with. And yeah, it makes sense. Over the last few years, Kody began to ramp up his preference for Robyn. While he wouldn't even see his other wives during the pandemic, he and Robyn were inseparable. He also seemed to allow more money to her, paying for things like a live-in nanny, which he never did for the other wives. And somewhat ironically, it seems that Kody has settled on a sort of monogamous kind of life with Robyn. Hey, a guy can change, right? And that was one hell of a trip, which basically sums up where the sister wives are today, each of them with their own complicated history with Kody. But besides Robyn, it seems like none of them could picture happily ever after with the guy. And how much Kody is still involved with his dozens of kids and dozens of grandkids, we don't really know. If there's one thing you gotta say about the guy, it's that he is surely ambitious. Alright, so what do you think? Do Kody's first 3 disastrous marriages show that he was a bad husband? Could any of you put your heart and ego on the side to do a polygamous relationship? Would you be a sister wife or sister husband? And who was your favorite wife on the show? Please get in the comments and let us know. And if you enjoyed our rewind, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and come back often so we can keep telling you what happened.